Big bag Tharoor salvo which has hit terroristan. Super sharp takedown of Pak treachery. Tharoor unmasked Pakistan jihad machinery. Tharoor debunks Narendra, Surinder, RaGa. Listen to some excerpts.
No real difficulty in speaking the same language as the Pakistanis. As long as they use the language of terrorism, we will use the language of force, and that doesn't require a third party. If, on the other hand, they were to dismantle the infrastructure of terrorism, we can talk to them. If they take serious actions to show that they want to restore normal relationships with us, we can certainly talk to them again without needing an intermediary. So it's not in any way a negative comment about the goodwill of people. During this conflict, as I said, in any case, India didn't need persuading to stop. No one needed to tell us stop because we were telling them. The moment Pakistan stops, we are prepared to stop. So if they in turn then told the Pakistanis, you better stop because the Indians are willing to stop, and that was what they did, then that's wonderful gesture on their part vis-a-vis Pakistan, but only Pakistan and they can tell us exactly what happened. With us, all we can say is that we know in our conversations some of these things didn't come up. But I want to say this in a very constructive spirit. We have an enormous respect for the US, and we have a much more important, valuable, strategic partnership with Washington that we wouldn't want to jeopardize over a matter of detail. We are interested, we're talking at the moment about a number of areas of cooperation. We're interested in enhancing all of that. I've pointed out repeatedly there can be no equivalence between a country sending terrorists and a country having its civilians killed, holidaymakers, tourists, men shot down in front of their wives and children because after being asked their religion. I mean, this kind of thing has been absolutely reprehensible, outrageous. Second, there can be no equivalence between people who are attacking and those who are defending themselves and their people and their territory and their sovereignty. There can be no equivalence. So there's no question. I said this is not about India and Pakistan. This is about India and terrorism inflicted on India. So India will act against terror wherever it comes from. If it's coming from Pakistan, tough. They should deal with their own problems. And then they are going around, I understand, this delegation saying, oh, but we are also victims of terrorism. We have lost more lives to terrorism than India has, and so on. The question we turn around and say is, whose fault is that? As Hillary Clinton famously said 10 years ago, what did she say? You can't breed vipers in your backyard and expect it to bite only your neighbors. It's the old classic lesson of Dr. Frankenstein. You build a monster, it leaves your control. That's why they're now getting terrorist attacks by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. But who created the Taliban from which the Tehreek-e-Taliban broke off? We all know the answer to that. So let Pakistan look inside itself. Let it do some serious interior reflection before it goes around pleading innocence and deniability and everything else. I've pointed out repeatedly there can be no equivalence between a country sending terrorists and a country having its civilians killed, holidaymakers, tourists, men shot down in front of their wives and children because after being asked their religion. I mean, this kind of thing has been absolutely reprehensible, outrageous. Second, there can be no equivalence between people who are attacking and those who are defending themselves and their people and their territory and their sovereignty. There can be no equivalence. So there's no question. I said this is not about India and Pakistan. This is about India and terrorism inflicted on India. So India will act against terror wherever it comes from. If it's coming from Pakistan, tough. They should deal with their own problems. And then they are going around, I understand, this delegation saying, oh, but we are also victims of terrorism. We have lost more lives to terrorism than India has, and so on. The question we turn around and say is, whose fault is that? As Hillary Clinton famously said 10 years ago, what did she say? You can't breed vipers in your backyard and expect it to bite only your neighbors. It's the old classic lesson of Dr. Frankenstein. You build a monster, it leaves your control. That's why they're now getting terrorist attacks by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. But who created the Taliban from which the Tehreek-e-Taliban broke off? We all know the answer to that. So let Pakistan look inside itself. Let it do some serious interior reflection before it goes around pleading innocence and deniability and everything else.
You know, the attack in Pahelgaon was one in a long line of attacks. And one thing that's happened every time there's been a terrorist attack, like Mumbai, the one in Pahelgaon, the one in Pulwama, the Indian government has come out with evidence, you know, maybe not immediately, but after a while, that showed two things. One, that the perpetrators were Pakistani, or they were funded by the Pakistanis. And two, that these elements, the attackers themselves, were under the control of the Pakistani intelligence establishment. As you've gone around talking to the Hill and agencies and government representatives, have you been asked for that kind of evidence as it relates to the Pahelgaon attack? Because we haven't seen it yet. I'm not doubting it. I'm just asking.
Well, I can.
Why this time
It hasn't come up in most of our substantive meetings, but media likes to ask this question, Mr. Bhattacharya. So I can tell you that we have been asked as recently as the National Press Club this afternoon. So it's a question that media likes to ask, and I can give you an answer, frankly, which had we been asked in our meetings, we would have given anyway. Number one, we have got a pattern since 1989 of repeated attacks, every one of which was denied by Pakistan and every one of which has been traced to Pakistan. The most famous or notorious cases have been Mumbai, 9/11. Pakistan's denials are on record, and then one of the terrorists was captured alive, and of course his address in Pakistan, where he lived, who trained him, where he was trained, everything was compiled. You remember that Western intelligence agencies, apart from our own, had recorded the chilling voice of that handler calling and giving minute-by-minute killing instructions from Pakistan to the killers. It is no longer possible for Pakistan to keep on denying. And yet, to this day, the dossier is compiled with all that evidence. Not one person has been prosecuted, not one person has been punished in Pakistan. But that's the pattern. And I agree that you can have somebody who does the same crime 99 times and maybe the 100th time he didn't do it, right? Okay, so let me say the next one. When this thing happened, within less than an hour after the killings in Pahelgaon, in this meadow, the LET front organization, proxy organization called the Resistance Front, claimed credit. Now, most of us didn't even know about this within that kind of time frame. There were no journalists around when these poor tourists were being killed, right? Yet within 45 minutes they had claimed it. So they knew they had sent these people out. They repeated that claim 24 hours later on their website. It's only then, with the world united in condemnation of this heinous crime, that the handlers must have realized, oh my God, this is going to get us all into trouble, and they said to these guys, delete your claim. But the fact is the claim was made, and it was made far too early for it to have been, shall we say, some sort of anything other than a genuine admission of responsibility, and from their point of view, a celebration of their responsibility for having killed innocent tourists. Third, India doesn't go to war on supposition and hypotheses. I can only say this much, that our intelligence agencies have identified, at least when I left Delhi, at least 4 of the 5 perpetrators. And they know their identities. They even have pictures, because some of these people have been involved in other incidents. So, I mean, intelligence work is beyond my ken and that of my delegation. But they have confirmed to us that 2 are Pakistanis and 2 others are locals who are known to have gone, or as the word is used, to have exfiltrated from Indian Kashmir to Pakistan 10 years ago. And they seem to have come back for this purpose and gone back again. So we have all this information, and we don't, frankly, in any case, go around taking such a major step as Operation Sindoor without very serious grounds for doing so. And I think you all have enough respect. I'm sure the international intelligence community has enough respect for India to understand what's going on. I'm frankly a bit puzzled that the media in the West has been reporting Pakistan's denial as if it has any. Have you already forgotten that they denied they knew where Osama bin Laden was? And where was he found? In a safe house near an army camp in a cantonment city in the heart of Pakistan. This has been Pakistan's record. Why on earth would you blithely report their denials as if they were real?
How do you square that idea with sending out delegations such as yours to engage and frankly internationalize the issue?
No, it's not internationalizing. It's actually, each delegation is functioning in the spirit of a bilateral dialogue with the country concerned. And every time that anybody asks, and that includes on the Hill, will you talk to the Pakistanis, or would mediation help so you can promote dialogue? My answer is, our answer is very clear. We cannot talk to people who are pointing a gun at our heads. And frankly, until and unless there is a serious effort being made by Pakistan to dismantle the infrastructure of terrorism, to arrest some of the well-known figures who are on not only the United Nations Committee's list, but even in the US State Department's designated terrorist list. If they can't be arrested, if their bank accounts can't be frozen, if their training academies, training camps can't be shut down, if all of these things won't be done by Pakistan, why should we talk to them? It's very simple. I mean, if your neighbor attacks your children with their attacked dogs and then says, let's talk, will you talk to them until they put away the attacked dogs or euthanize them or lock them up in a kennel or leash them at least? They've done none of those things. So for us, the message was very clear. No, we're not going to talk. And the reason we're not going to talk is because of the way they're behaving, not because we don't like to talk. I often say we can talk to Pakistan in practically every language they speak there. We have no shortage of, we don't need a third party to come between us and help us talk to them. But we won't talk to them until they give us some indication that they're worth talking to.
How do you see these briefings impacting India-US relations, especially in terms of counter-terrorism efforts?
You mean India's counter-terrorism efforts? Or
The briefings, how does it impact India-US relations?
India-US relations? Well, I think that you all sitting here will be in a better position to judge. It's part, for us, it's one more element in a very large and wide-ranging relationship. It shows that we are giving the US the respect they deserve and giving them our side of the story, in answering any questions they may have, offering any clarifications they may have. And at the same time, from our point of view, this is a relationship that matters way beyond this particular issue. And I think, as all my colleagues have also been pointing out, that's the spirit in which these folks have also approached it. They are showing us solidarity, they're showing us understanding, and equally they want to talk about much bigger things and many, many other matters. So for us, this still is not something we want people to forget. I know that in many countries far away from India, it was a 3-day story and then it's been forgotten. It's no longer top of the mind on people. And we just want to tell them, we understand you've got many other issues to deal with, but don't forget what happened to us. Don't forget why we did what we did, and bear this in mind if they do it again. I mean, that is also a message, because we know the terrorist facilities we sort of destroyed can be rebuilt in 6 to 9 months. And if they start this game again because Pakistan enables them to do so or wants them to do so, then they should be prepared. I mean, our Prime Minister said very clearly, Operation Sindoor is not over. Doesn't mean that we are attacking anybody. It just means that if terrorism resumes, so will our reaction resume. If they hit, we will hit back, and we'll hit back very hard. If they leave us alone, we'll be happy to leave them alone. We have no desire to do anything else. This is broadly the thrust of what we are assuring them.